This is Phoebe Green and the Locker of Destiny, and we are on chapter 15, called Lacrosse. As September wore on, the nights became chilly, and Phoebe understood why everyone had avoided the bed next to the window. Still, she had the pet spider, who she calculated was the great, times 10, grandmother of the spider she had spotted in 2025. Phoebe also liked to wake up early and watch the world come to life through the window. Gulls swooped for their breakfast. Mr. Grayson drove up the lane with a boy, his teenage son, Phoebe guessed, in the passenger seat. As the cooks arrived, Miss Perivale jogged towards the beach for her morning run. She wore an outfit not unlike the school PE kit, come rain or shine. Phoebe wondered if she was proving a point to those who watched out of the window. "You see, it's fine, toughen up." Homesickness was the toughest part of boarding school life, but a close second was the requirement to do sport every day. Phoebe particularly dreaded the hockey sessions. The pitch was more mud than grass, and her thin vest and skirt was no match for the coastal gales. One afternoon, with goosebumps on her arms, Phoebe asked the games mistress if she could change into trousers. Miss Dawlish made her run a lap of the field to warm herself up, which did the job. Phoebe thanked her quite earnestly. "Are you being smart with me, young lady?" she said. "No," Phoebe replied. Miss Dawlish, who wore a cosy-looking tracksuit, handed Phoebe a stick. It looked like a broom handle with a net at the end. "Are we going fishing?" Phoebe asked. "It's a lacrosse stick, you silly goose," Miss Dawlish said. "You throw a ball into the goal. Do you think you can do that?" Phoebe joined a team made up of her roommates to play against the next-door dorm. Megan was busy showing off a lacrosse stick which she had brought with her to Perivale. Her family had been coming to the school for generations, and her and Chloe's lacrosse sticks were made of a dark African wood. It reminded Phoebe of the ornamental mask her grandparents had on the wall of their house. "That's so slay," said Phoebe. "Slay? What odd words you use. Do you actually think we were going fishing?" Megan asked. "Don't be redonkulous," Phoebe said. "It's obviously for flying." She tucked the lacrosse stick between her legs and zigzagged away, jumping as best she could. Jade thought this was hilarious and flew in figures of 8 until she felt sick. "What is wrong with them?" muttered Megan. Chloe stopped grinning. "We used to be kids too, remember?" she said. The girls got into pairs and practiced throwing and catching the ball. Phoebe partnered with Alice, who was appalled at having to play egg and spoon for grown-ups. She took lazy swings at the ball Phoebe threw at her, at one point flinging the entire stick across the lawn. "What's the point?" Alice said. "What job is going to require us to catch a ball in a net?" "If you think Perivale is preparing you for the world of work, you're going to have a bad time," Phoebe said. "Come on, just play." At the edge of the pitch was a brick wall too tall to see over. Through an archway, the girls could see some workshops and outbuildings. There was even a little cottage with a neatly kept garden. "The groundskeeper works in there," Alice said. "I've seen him coming out of it on his ride-on lawnmower. I've never seen someone look so happy with their lot." Megan and Chloe appeared to be experts at lacrosse. When the games mistress was out of sight, Megan said to Phoebe, "Toss the ball over the wall, over there near the hosepipe. Then, when you go and retrieve it, you could ask the groundskeeper if he has your magic locker." It made Phoebe enormously happy to hear Megan speak about the locker. Until now, the twins had dismissed the whole story as nonsense. Also, it was kind of her to give Phoebe some advice, which she would readily accept. Mummy had said that accepting advice is a step towards friendship. With Miss Dawlish's back turned, Phoebe scooped up the ball from the ground and held it in her net. She spun around, arms outstretched, and with a flick of her lacrosse stick, she sent the ball flying through the air. Chloe and Megan sucked through their teeth and seemed to shrink their heads into their neck like tortoises. Phoebe didn't understand because she had done exactly what Megan had suggested. The solid sphere of rubber sailed up and then disappeared over the wall. The sound of breaking glass rang out like a gunshot. "What was that?" shouted the games mistress. Phoebe ran to the archway and looked to the right. Inside was a huge greenhouse, and she spotted her orange ball in a plant tray under shards of broken glass. She wondered if Megan had known that the greenhouse was there, but assumed not. The games mistress grabbed Phoebe by the shoulders and spun her around to face her. "What have you done?" she cried. I tossed the ball to Alice, but it went over the wall. I'm sorry," Phoebe said. She thought of the locker which might be hidden in this forbidden area inside the wall. Shall I go and look for the ball? No, you silly, silly goose. Go and see Miss Perivale and tell her what you've done. I must find Mr. Grayson and get your mess cleaned up before someone is injured. A girl from the next door dorm approached the flustered games mistress. Would you like me to look after the class while you find the groundskeeper? She asked sweetly. We could continue our throw and catch. That would be very helpful, thank you, the games mistress said. She snatched Phoebe's lacrosse stick in case it could do more damage. Now go, she ordered. Phoebe began the shameful walk across the lawn to Miss Perivale's office. Second time in 1 week, Miss Perivale noted, very disappointing. It was an accident, Phoebe said. I'm sorry. Miss Perivale looked out of her office window. The rest of Phoebe's classmates were trudging back towards the changing rooms. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't write to your mother with a bill for repairs, Miss Perivale said. Phoebe thought about this. For one, there would be no point because she couldn't send a letter forward in time by 30 years, unless she hid it somewhere like a time capsule and somehow put an alarm on it so that it would prompt her mother to unearth it at the exact right time and... Well, Miss Perivale boomed. I don't know, Mum. Perhaps I could fix it? Phoebe said. Miss Perivale sniggered. And how do you intend to create a piece of glass? Sand? Phoebe offered. I think you have to heat up sand, but I'm not sure. Perhaps we could use the pottery kiln. Miss Perivale slowly shook her head. She looked out at the cloudy sky and gently massaged her temples to cope with the stress of speaking to Phoebe. After a painful silence, she picked up what looked like an empty picture frame as tall as her hip. From her desk drawer, she took a pair of nail scissors. She passed both items to Phoebe. Between now and supper, you will cut 1 square yard of grass. That is your punishment for your heinous destruction of Mr. Grayson's greenhouse. Phoebe wondered how many blades of grass would be in 1 square, and fully intended to write down both the question and the answer in her book of difficult questions. Where shall I cut? She asked. Mr. Grayson will tell you. Go and see him right now. I just saw him return to his workshop. Phoebe's eyes lit up. Meeting Mr. Grayson was her goal, and she fought hard to suppress her grin. With the scissors spinning around her index finger and the frame over her shoulder, she practically skipped out of the headmistress's office. Soon she would relocate the magic locker and whiz back to 2025. She was sure of it. That was chapter 15 of Phoebe Green, The Locker of Destiny, and you can click down below and get to the next chapter.